I'm Shalane from TSE Tuition, and this is the third of 4 videos on persuasive techniques or devices. And the technique or device that we're going to look at today is connotations. The article that I'll be looking at today comes from news.com.au from the KidSpot section, and I think the headline says it all. It's called "My teen was caught using ChatGPT to write an essay, but I'm proud of him." So clearly, obviously, the issue is about AI and the use of AI in the classroom by students or by teenagers. The link to the article is in the description box below, so read along. It sort of comes right underneath sort of this subheading: the sooner we adapt to it, the better we'll all be. And right above this, she's sort of talked about, she's quoted a person called Kate Toon, who is a digital educator and an entrepreneur, talking about how Chat GPT and similar technologies like that will just become another tool in a writer's toolbox. And so Danielle Norton writes, so here is our sample text, right? The same applies to teachers and students. Those students who can craft beautiful, flowing, engaging sentences will always stand out from the informative yet cookie-cutter prose that ChatGPT spits out. Now, there are multiple instances of connotation here, so let's walk through them. When she says those students who can craft, right, as opposed to write or create, I think craft has a real connotation of artistry. It implies that time is necessary, right? You don't craft something just like that, right? You craft something over a process of time, maybe a period of days, months, years, where you're really working at something to refine it. And then we have the adjectives: beautiful, flowing, engaging sentences. So again, all of these words imply a certain kind of artistry, refinement. It implies that it's not just functional, right? It's beautiful. It's not just it does the job, right? Ticks the box, right? But it's really beautiful. It's flowing. It's not clunky. It's really smooth. It's really very pleasing to the eye or pleasing to the ear to hear it, engaging, as opposed to super boring, right? Like something you might read out of a textbook, sorry, textbook writers, that something is engaging, that it is designed to grab someone's attention and designed to hold someone's attention. And then we look later on, right, standing out from the informative. So notice the juxtaposition between informative and engaging. If something is engaging as opposed to informative sounds super boring. It sounds functional. It sounds like it's just tick the box, right? Yet cookie cutter prose. So cookie cutter as opposed to craft, right? If something is crafted, there is a human hand that's been involved in it, right? Someone has spent years and years learning a skill, right? Developing certain muscles, right? Either real literal muscles or metaphorical muscles to create something, right? So we think about, say, an artist crafting a sculpture or a novelist crafting a work of fiction. But here it's just cookie cutter, stamp, cut, done. And so the connotation here is that it's mass produced, that it is machine made, that there's nothing really different that you would get that someone else would, also get. And then later, of course, we have prose as opposed to sentence. I feel like these are pretty neutral kind of words, but I think it's interesting that we have the difference, right, of sentences as opposed to prose. So sentences are, of course, much smaller in size than prose. Prose is like the entire thing. But sentences, because in that earlier bit about human writing, right, being beautiful, engaging, flowing sentences, it really draws your attention. It's sort of to that granular level of writing. It implies that human writing is, very thoughtful and very considered, as opposed to prose. They've just whacked it in a mold and off it goes to your computer. And then of course later, if we keep looking at the connotation, we have spits out, which is almost like a reflex, right? You spit out in disgust, right? You spit things out in, because it tastes gross. You spit things out because it's awful. You spit things out because you physically can't keep it in your mouth, and maybe it's too hot or too cold or too spicy, right? It's a reflex. You don't really have control over that. Whereas when we talk about spitting out versus crafting, right, we're talking about two very different kinds of processes that are going on there. So let's think about, how do we write about this, right, in an analytical essay. So again, like all the other videos, I am assuming you're not writing about this in the introduction. I'm assuming in a body paragraph you have already talked about the function, right, the main idea of this section, of this ending section of the article. So I might write something like, Norton applies artful connotations to her descriptions of what good writers do. Now notice that I haven't just used connotations, I've actually added something to that, artful connotations. It connotes, right, artistry. Through praising it as crafting beautiful, flowing, engaging sentences while contrasting them against the cookie cutter prose that AI spits out. So here I'm identifying what the connotation is, and then I'm also providing lots of quotes, and then now comes what does it make the reader feel, right? Well, her descriptions connote human writing as a thought carefully considered over time, implying that this is far superior to the prose that is merely an involuntary reflex of ChatGPT, a mass-produced product without any artistry. So here I'm really analyzing, or I'm really breaking down, what are we supposed to think when we see these words on the page, right? So now that I've done that, I now need to talk about the why. Well, why would the author want us to think this way, right? Why make us think these things about human writing as opposed to AI writing? So Norton's connotations aim to distinguish between the superior capabilities of humans and the inferior abilities of AI for her audience of mothers of school children. So here I'm looking at the website itself. It's called KidSpot. It's from news.com.au. This is an article by a mother who is also a teacher, writing about her teenager who attends a school, right? So the audience here is really implied mothers of school children rather than just, any kind of adult. In order to elevate the role of teachers in nurturing these writing skills, who she later argues are essential in schools. So here I'm really tying the why of why should we feel this way or think this way about human writing and AI writing to what is the overall purpose in this section of the article. And really what she's arguing here is that teachers are always going to be essential. They can't be replaced by AI. And sooner or later, probably sooner, AI will just be another tool like spell check that teachers will have to teach their students to use. So I hope that was helpful. As always, like and subscribe to all of our social media channels so that you can be updated when we upload new content. We have a newsletter for parents and tutors who are looking for advice and strategies to help their teens in their English studies. So make sure you're signed up to our mailing list, and you might also want to visit our online shop, which has vocabulary expansion packs for all high school students. If you're looking for one-to-one English tutoring support, please contact us and let's have a chat about how we can support you. Thanks for watching.